Provo, Utah. This is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate Final Fantasy 11 podcast. I am your host, Caleb.
I am your host, Joseph DeGolier. Final Fantasy 11 podcast. No more?
Yeah.
Question mark?
We have finished Rhapsodies of Vana'diel.
The final expansion to Final Fantasy 11.
Yes, indeed. There was a question on the forums about whether or not we're going to do some of the extra content, and we will dive into that on a later part of the episode. But,
Sure.
We did it. Last night we jumped on. I went around. I ran to the area that we were talking about before where we did ambuscade grinding, and I just said, hey, is there anyone that is willing to help me do the final battle in Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, because I can't do it. And this one guy just like walked up to me and was like, yeah, I'm down. You down? I'm like, yeah, dude, let's do this. And so we started. We met up with this guy. He had I think this guy had multiple accounts, and they were all him.
They were all sick, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, they were okay. It wasn't to the scale of our good friend Solane, but this person was Abu, and they had an account name that was Airwick, and another one that was Salvation Army, which is funny because I see Salvation Army everywhere.
So he had two laptops, and he was just like...
I think so.
Really?
I honestly think the others were just meat shields. They were out there, and he just had them auto-attacking. I don't know how he did it, but it was all him. I know it was him.
He's that into Final Fantasy 11 that he needs to be all his team members.
Kinda, yeah. That's what it seems like.
It's
kind of genius. If you're willing to put in the cajillion hours that it would take to get everyone up to the level, up to speed to where they would be useful in those final fights, absolutely amazing. So we jumped on, we went into that fight. It was insane. This fight is the hardest fight I think I've had in this game. There's a few others that were pretty close, but this one, the guy has a shitload of health, and without help from the outside world, others that aren't gimps like us, we would have never been able to get through it. So thank you so much to Abu. And
we did okay on that one. I mean, you and Krinital fell a couple times, and I raised you.
Yeah, it wasn't as vicious, but it was more difficult, I think. Mm-hmm. We didn't have nearly as many deaths as we did with the final fight for Seekers of Adulin, but I do feel like Cloud of Darkness was a harder enemy overall. Because without those other people, we would have been so screwed.
Yeah, without
and the arena's a lot bigger, so we had more space to move around and not get targeted. It was kind of anticlimactic in a way, because I walked away and was able to just sit down and get some health back in that way, but it made up for it in the way the fight took place and everything that was going on around the fight, and it made it just a completely incredible experience.
We actually ran out of time on the first fight.
We did, yeah. You meet up with one of the NPCs in the game, and she casts re-raise on you and herself. And it's basically whoever enters the dungeon first. So there's not really a way to fail until you run out of time, which is what we did the first time. I think it was half an hour or something like that.
Right.
And we just timed out. The game just ran out, and there was no more. There was no more for us.
Well, there was a point where we were healing up to the side, and then we were like, did he just regenerate health?
Yeah.
And the answer was yes.
Yeah, the answer.
Because we got him down halfway, and then it was like, boop, now he's 3/4, right?
Yeah.
That's how much health he has. So
it was pretty crazy. I mean, I was not expecting this kind of pain. I mean, because the fight that we had before this one was not nearly as bad. I mean, we're talking a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, you went into that one by yourself with trusts. Mm-hmm. The second to last fight, and you were able to take that out just fine without any of us playing.
It got pretty hairy near the end, I'll admit. I just was doing refresh on the healer character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't get the ultimate healer like Krinital and I did you?
I had old Kupipi.
Oh, geez, dude. Kupipi's old school.
And I beat the game with Kupipi.
Nice. Yeah, so it was, up to that point, I was like, this isn't that bad. And there were a few people that were telling me that, Rhapsodies has some pretty intense fights near the end, and I didn't really believe it up to that point. And then we jumped into this one, and it was nuts. But we did get it done. And
still not as bad as Seekers, I think.
Yeah.
The
fight?
Even the final fight, which was sick.
I don't know, man. I think the final fight was...
The thing is, the good thing about Final Fight is, first of all, it is a huge area, so that if the boss is too much, and Iroha doesn't die, if the boss is too much, you can go over to the side and regenerate your party and then go back in. I mean, hopefully you have a faster way of regeneration than we did.
Yeah.
And I think the boss fight is then... It's a long fight, but it's doable.
It is doable. It was never impossible, but I could just tell, okay. I felt like that one was...
I felt that the final Seekers of a Dueling fight, not only the mental hassle of knowing that you can't see the health, but also it's a brutal fight, and you don't have one person who keeps getting re-raised.
That's true, you don't, but I don't know. It's something about this one I felt
it was a tough fight.
Inside.
I think it was the fourth hardest fight so far. All the other three were from Seekers of a Dueling.
Yeah, tough expansion, that Seekers of a Dueling, but Rhapsodies was a breeze in comparison, and it was a delight to play. I'm really excited. So now, guys,
or was it?
Dun 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 dun.
Were you in
Revenant Wings?
Game? Revenant Wings.
I have opened the game. I tore the seal on the packaging, and I pulled it open. I looked at the booklet for about 3 seconds, and that's about where I am.
I have, in fact, placed the cartridge in the 2DS.
I gotta catch up tonight. It's gonna take some time. So yeah, guys, that will be our next game. We are going to be moving on to Final Fantasy XII, the Revenant Wings, and after which, probably Final Fantasy 15. We're going to have to push 13.2 back because of busyness. But there may be something in between those two. Who knows? Well,
it would have to take Revenant Wings being a very fast play.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it will be.
Yeah, we don't know. It's like estimated at 30 hours or so on how long to beat, which is usually pretty accurate.
Yeah, and so how we do games, and I know Kayla's been railing against me this entire time, but this is just the standard. Under 30 hours, 1 month. Over 30 hours, 2 months.
Yeah, well, you are only going to school part-time right now, so I feel like we got time. If I have time, you have time. That's the mentality I'm sitting with right now. But
especially for a handheld one, you're right. But
with that, I mean, we can't 13.2. The tough part about that is all the time you spend down here instead of up in your northern home.
Yeah.
And 13.2 is not a game that you can play with any sort of mobility, so I don't know.
I can in Japan. I think they have the mobile 13.
It's at least for 13, yeah. I can't remember I don't know if they have it for 13.2 or not, but the nice thing about this Revenant Wings is, it's handheld, so you should
I can do it on the train on my 4 hours a day train ride.
Yeah, so there's that, and we'll see how far we get in that, but we'll keep you guys updated as far as where we get to and what we're going to do before Final Fantasy 15. We also have a Kingsglaive review that we've been trying to get done.
I gotta rewatch it. I have to. I can't give a good review only watching that movie once.
Okay, I can watch it for the third
that movie is too lore wise. It is too dense.
Yeah, it does. It is better to watch a couple times.
So I have to watch it twice, I think.
All right. Well, that'll be an upcoming episode here in the next little bit. And yeah, so look forward to that. It was going to be this week if we didn't finish Rhapsodies, but thankfully we finished it last night, and I'm stoked to get into that. But before we do, you guys can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, youtube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can tweet me at UFF Podcast.
You can tweet me at Joseph Vigolier. You can see our games being played live at twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can support us on Patreon. $1 a month gives you the episodes as soon as we're done mixing them, and we do owe some Patreon episodes, so please either check your inbox on the Patreon guys who we owe episodes to, or send us a message telling us you're availability, and we can get you guys a episode scheduled.
Of course.
Yeah. And last but not least, please join our forums, ask a question, ultimatefinalfantasy.com.
Yes. Use the phone line, too. It's 385-204-3921. Send us a question, an intro, rage at us, whatever you want.
Memories of FF11.
Yeah, Memories of FF11. We're going to be doing a FF11 wrap-up episode in the coming weeks and are looking forward to seeing everyone else's story and experiences with this game, because ours are going to be very different from most people's, given the way we went through this thing.
Yeah, I guess, it does kind of like...
Give us your playtime, too, how long you played the game. Estimated playtime.
It's crazy that some people have put years into this game and never beat the story. But Schweiss, we put 6 months of our lives, kind of split between 2015 and 2016, into this game, and we beat it. We beat, like, at the end, there were credits at the end of Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, and it's like...
It thanked us for our years of service.
I had to take a breath, and I was like, it's over.
Yeah. I mean, there's still content, but as far as the stories, as far as the main story and expansion content, we're done.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
All right. You know what else is crazy?
What's that?
The news.
Is it?
It is.
It's actually very tame.
Is it?
Well, for the most part, I suppose. All right, so first up in news, World of Final Fantasy Dungeon Demo is launching on October 17th in Japan.
Okay, yeah. So they get a demo on October 17th.
Yeah, for our 2 Japanese listeners, keep an eye out for that, and you'll be able to download it on your PS4 and PlayStation Vita. And we got a couple little screenshots here, a little mech suit from 7, and the cutesy boxes. Oh my god. Fun. So if you're in Japan, enjoy that. I don't know when we're going to get it. If we'll get it. I doubt we... Actually, you know what? There's no real reason to get it because the game's coming out in a few weeks anyway, so what the fuck? World of Final Fantasy also has confirmed that Riku will appear in the game.
And also that you can murder her with a stake.
Yes. A stake?
Yeah, she's a vampire.
Oh, okay. All right. That part was made up, in case anyone was wondering. I don't want to get it. I don't want to see a correction next week of
Riku is not the vampire. Maybe we're getting it mixed up with Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent's the vampire in the Final Fantasy series. So Square Enix's official website has launched a 24-hour countdown for Final Fantasy 15. Oddly, considering it's going to be many 24-hour countdowns until the game comes out, but, whatever.
Wait, I'm so fucking confused.
Their site has a 24-hour countdown, but it's not started yet because the game's not coming out for another...
Oh, is it just at 24 hours until the day before?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
So that's cool.
Wow.
And the Mughals are freaky in this game, by the way, in case you hadn't seen them.
So someone tweeted us the picture of the Final Fantasy 15 Mughal, or at least a Final Fantasy 15 Mughal.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's a Mughal, but it's like a doll that's been beat up quite a bit.
Yeah, like a hand-me-down Mughal doll.
And maybe like a normal, like nice round Mughal with, a lot of traits that are dominant, and then they mated with Gonzo from the Muppets.
That's about right.
So I looked at it, I was like, they kind of have like a half Gonzo nose.
Born of sin. That's what this Final Fantasy 15 Mughal is.
That's what it looks like. I mean, the only thing that, like, I don't know, man. It is a weird looking Mughal. That Mughal that we saw is a weird looking Mughal.
It is. It's disturbing. So, World of Final Fantasy. We also have some more details on Snow, Radia, Tifa, Heart Quests, and more, of which I will not.
I'm pretty sure. Can't we just say, I mean, we've been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks, that, World of Final Fantasy has more information on this character. Oh, look, this character is also in World of Final Fantasy. Can we just say that, like, most of Final Fantasy is in World of Final Fantasy?
Yeah, most of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. I am pretty excited for the areas in this game. Like, they look really cool. Seeing the Mako reactor not looking like shit. Like, that's pretty legit looking right there.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, there's screenshots out there.
And it's cool. cool,
Final
but
Fantasy 7 world.
Like we said, we're.
It's cool. I'm not sure where in the order it goes.
We'll have to reevaluate.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while, though.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
So, speaking of the Mughals, they are items in Final Fantasy 15, and this is the picture of them. We're looking at it here. It's kind of, I don't know. It's an endearing looking thing. If it was yours, like if it was your doll, it's like, oh yeah, I've had that for generations. It's been in my family for hundreds of years, But as an outsider, it's disturbing. Like its nose looks like
dolls that have been passed around for hundreds of years.
No, my family's shit, but some families probably do. Or like, this used to be my mother's or father's, and now it is mine to comfort me. Its nose is just, I think that's the thing that bugs me the most, is the nose. It looks like a fucked up cherry tomato, like on his face, and it's all leathery too. It's weird. And I don't know. It's unsettling. It's an unsettling thing, and I think it belongs more in a Silent Hill game than it does a Final Fantasy one.
Mommy?
Yeah, it just like
that screenshot.
Yeah, its head like twists around and like looks at you again and then blinks. Something fucked up.
Who the fuck? Why did Hajime Tabata go? Yeah, that one.
Yeah, we want that. We want the Mughal to strike fear into the hearts of the children. So we do have a little screenshot here of some optimization development for Final Fantasy 15, and it's looking kind of at CPU usage during the different versions of 15. So the TGS 2014, it was at 41 to 98%, and whatever CPU they're using, that same CPU for the episode Disgaea, 65 to 87% of usage, and then the full-on Final Fantasy 15 is 87 to 95. So it's about an 8% increase in usage for the CPU. So they're really pushing the console. As always, this isn't something new with Square at all. They're always pushing everything to the limit as far as console hardware goes, to just make it look as good as possible. And that's like FF12, same thing. It looks like way better than it actually shows up on the PS2 because the PS2 can't handle it. So we do have a little bit of gameplay here and a little trailer. It's Final Fantasy 15's Death Spell. So let's check this out. Some footage here. Rated T for language, mild blood, and partial nudity. So you got the fight.
Doing like a warp strike thing.
Yeah. There's the death. Oh my god. It just unmade that beast.
Oh, that's freaky looking.
Yeah, dude, that's sweet. He just like cast the thing and then the thing's gone. It's just dead. Just no more.
Yeah, the big hippo thing.
Yeah, the hippo bastards that were really wrecking face in the demo. You can't just attack one either, so. Well, that's pretty cool. A little more gameplay. You guys can check that out on gematsu.com. It's about a 4-minute trailer, but I mostly wanted to see the death of that bastard. So yeah, pretty stoked on FF15. One more big piece of news today. Final Fantasy art director Yusuke Naora leaves Square Enix after 24 years.
Oh, what is he known for? That name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
5's art director.
Oh,
6, he was involved with 7.
Naora.
Art director. Yeah, he's big. Vagrant Story, FF10, The Bouncer, unfortunately. A lot of the Final Fantasies. Advent Children.
Wow, yeah. Pretty much every major Square game.
Yeah, he's been the art director behind. So he's kind of the...
So I get art director mixed up with them.
Like the artist?
Guys. Yeah, the artist.
So like Nomura and...
Nomura and...
other guy that we love.
The other guy.
Yeah, no.
I just forgot.
Yeah, this guy's job is basically to... direct the art to make sure that, hey, that's awesome looking, but it totally doesn't match the game at all.
It might be that. It could be, just approving and, figuring out an overall look for the entire game.
Yeah. That's what
Probably taking the art that was drawn and making it into what it is in the game. I assume it has something to do with that. I don't know. Like, art director is just...
It seems like an odd title to us, yeah. But I assume that's what it is. They just kind of make sure the art that is placed in the game supports the mood and the feel and the tone of the game.
I mean, certainly if people know more about Japanese game development and know what the role of the art director is supposed to be exactly, they can let us know.
Yeah, go ahead and submit a correction.
But obviously he was an important dude and he left. Does he say why he left?
Yeah, there was actually a series of tweets. Naoshi said that on September 30th, I resigned from Square Enix after working for them for 24 years. With my family in mind, I'll be going back to my hometown of Izumo. Yesterday, Tabata-chan, of Jime, of course, showed me the ending of Final Fantasy 15. It was my final job, and it has the best ending. Everyone has been amazing.
Overselling it!
We did a great job. I'm a little regretful that the release date was pushed back, but I'm happy to be given credit. After my resignation, I will continue doing illustrations, designs, and the like as jobs for Square Enix, and want to take on various challenges, so I appreciate your support.
So he's becoming a
contractor, essentially.
Independent contractor.
Yeah, that's kind of the fate of these big
that seems to be
juggernauts that work for Square, except for
sensing a pattern.
Except for the creator himself.
Except for
him.
Well, he goes and then makes other companies.
True.
Right?
True. And they
Mistwalker.
They sort of like moved him to a lesser role to fire him. They didn't necessarily say, okay, you're out. They're like, well, we're just going to make you not nearly as important and essentially make you fire yourself so we don't have to pay you unemployment. But so there's that. That guy was awesome. He did a lot of great work for the series, and he will definitely be missed. And I'm interested to see where the series goes from here. I mean, this will be the first time that we will at least notice what his influence or lack thereof will be when Final Fantasy 16 comes around.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it might not be something noticeable, or it might be. We won't know for years, I'm sure. But so yeah, that's all we got for news. And
all right,
you guys, you ready to?
Let's dive into Rhapsodies of Vana'diel.
All right. What's up, Twitch? The silence is.
Wait, we started it too early. They hate it. They hate it when you start early.
Dude, that's how it is when I stream any of the games. That's why I always stay up super late, because like no one's here. And then suddenly when I'm talking like, yeah, I'm getting pretty tired, and suddenly a bunch of people are there. I'm like, fuck. All right. I'll stay. All right, I think we're good. Let's crush it.
Okay. Crush.
Yeah,
crush him. All right.
Rhapsodies of Vana'diel is the final expansion, as far as we know, for Final Fantasy XI. It was released in thirds. Part 1 came out in May 2015, Part 2 in August of 2015, and the third and final part was released last November 2015. The game was designed by producer Akihko Matsui, and the extremely memorable final theme song was composed by longtime FF11 mixmaster Naoshi Mizuta. This guy's been like the whole time.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's been 3 big composers for FF11.
Yeah, when I say
Nobuo.
Whole time, I mean expansions.
Yeah, so he's been continuing since the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And he finally was like, "Hey, I get to compose a song this time."
Yeah, yeah, and it was great. So Rhapsodies was meant to be sort of a sending off for Final Fantasy XI, as well as a big thank you to all of the players for their years of service within this game. I mean,
you're welcome.
This is their largest income stream, as far as we know. I mean, we've seen that multiple times, and
that's what they claim.
I believe every second of it, and I don't know if 14 will ever be able to overtake it for that. 14 would have to be...
Well, it's got like a 10-year head start.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that end, 14 was never the biggest MMO ever. 11 was for a little while.
Was
until
it really?
Until WoW came out. Yeah, it was the big deal.
Huh.
I don't know if it was necessarily the biggest, but it was
one of the biggest.
It was massive, yeah. And
it would have been with EverQuest and Ultima.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it competes with those two, but I know FF11 was a big fucking deal to MMO players.
And then World of Warcraft just...
Yeah, World of Warcraft came along, changed the game, made everything instant gratification and really fun, and then 11 just slowly declined over time.
Yeah, this game isn't that great.
Yeah. Like, wait, so I can get stuff done in not 10 million hours?
Can I shit on 11 and still like it? I mean, we shit on Final Fantasy 8 and still, well, at least I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's about mid-tier for me, so keep that in mind when I bitch about 8. It's still somewhere in the lower middle section of the series.
In your view.
Yeah. And in my view. In other people's view, it's the greatest game that's ever graced this earth. But
I mean, speaking of, I think those are the two Final Fantasy games I have spent the most time in game of.
Yeah.
11 takes the cake.
11 does take the cake. 11,
even after years and years of replaying FF8.
Yeah.
11 I've spent more time in 11.
Yep, I've spent more time in 11, I think, than every other game. 12 is pretty close, though. I've had a couple 12 files that were... One of them was 76 hours, I think, and I deleted it. And then there's my initial one that was 100 and... I want to say 110. And then there was the last time we played that was 130.
I think that's about half the time.
Well... 2 weeks, I think, is like 360 or something like that. I don't know. It's close, but I think 11 still beats it.
11 does still beat it.
I think it does beat it. So this game we have spent a ton of time on. So keep that in mind. So Rhapsodies begins with our new heroine, Iroha, visiting the Great Crystal and voicing her need to visit Rizenjima to warn her master. It's an extremely cryptic intro to this game that we get. We then meet up with Captain Gilgamesh, who claims that he found a woman on a rowboat who cried out El Husk. Since at this point, El Husk was in a relationship with Lion.
I thought he cried out Nuborius. That's weird.
No. He had no choice but to investigate. This is where we formally meet Iroha, who claims to be our future Scullion or something like that, and wants to stop the emptiness from consuming Vana'diel. Iroha dissolves, strangely, and the Reason Shrine Orb that we're holding brings us to the Mother Crystals at Hala, Dem, and Mia. We have to go around and investigate these bad boys. So then a vortex appears and a monster with it on Quiffam Island. We impale the beast and enter the vortex, and then we see him, the masked man.
Are we in the black and white world?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what we did like a year and a half ago.
It's been a while.
We then enter an alternate Zeta where the emptiness has totally won and swallowed life. Lion's spirit takes form and she adds herself to our Reason Shrine Orb. And once the Shadow Lord is defeated in the original storyline, we're able to go through the Rizenjima gates. Now, this is where the game... It's like a send-off, but it's also a massive tie-in to the rest of the expansions, and it requires you to be at certain points in these expansions or in the original Bastok or Nation missions. So basically, this is the first requirement right here, is where it's like you have to have beaten the Shadow Lord, and then you can go. Which I thought was really interesting and kind of sucks for those who wanted to join us for this expansion but didn't finish the last few because they can't. So that's unfortunate. So about a year later, when El Husk gets off of his vacation, we jump back into the game. We meet up with the man in the mask who has Siren fight us. El Husk, being the stout warrior that he is, defeats Siren while barely taking any damage. Siren is then released from the masked man and lets us know that Iroha will reappear again. We then have a little bit of a world tour, FF4 style, getting Tenzin and Prish to add their powers to the Reason Shrine Orb. We also move to visit another past girlfriend, Nashmiria, who informs us that the masked man is using power from the future to open up these portals that we've been seeing. The masked man breaks into the Wallara temple and tries to siphon the astral candescence, which is like a little... force field deal. It's crazy. It's weird. Power, but is stopped. And then we head to our favorite area, the Asdal Undersea Ruins. Our favorite area in that expansion. It's the one where Alexander resides. So we do this so that Tenzin, one of the ninjas in our party, or samurai, sorry, he has the Phoenix Blade, and Phoenix is essentially speaking to Alexander, requesting to get some of his power to help sustain Iroha's existence. Alexander obliges, and then we head up and meet with Kate Sith, who confirms that the future that we saw earlier and that through that portal is not one of the ones that Atomos can consume, because he can consume all of the forbidden futures, the ones that are like basically bastards that can't exist. Atomos can't do jack against this one, so this thing is totally viable and can't be destroyed. Kate Sith then suggests that we get in touch with the great Altana, the goddess herself.
Yeah.
To protect Iroha.
Altana.
Yep. We don't do this for a while, though.
Totally the god of the universe, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much.
The ultimate god, yeah.
Except that there's this cloud of darkness. It's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposing force, yeah. So we then meet up with yet another past sweetheart, one of my favorites, Lilith. She heard that El Husk had become a god, so she then adds her light to the Reason Shrine Orb and vows to find a way to contact Altana. She comes back from her... when she disappeared, she went to the world where... what the hell is that one bad lady's name? The FF8 end boss clone. It's her.
Yeah.
But she goes to that future.
I remember.
Where it's Lady Lilith. That's what it is.
That's it.
And she comes back and basically adds her power to this little stone that you're holding that is hopefully going to mean something someday. And
the
it's
little
weird.
Ear?
The little ear. Yeah, it looks like an ear. I joked about like Mike Tyson. We like bit it off of one of the bosses and we're just keeping it as a trophy. So we then meet up with Iroha, who is now a complete beast. She is just slaughtering shit. Iroha claims that Siren and herself are both abominations to this world that we're in.
Well, she did get some training in the Final Fantasy in Eorzea,
Yeah, she
Final
did.
Fantasy 14, right?
She did. She trained with us there for a good amount of time. It was a good quest. I killed a lot of things there, so I suppose that's when she would have joined us.
She would have, because this expansion was with that other special event in 14.
Yeah, it came out at the same time. Yeah.
So they're linked in a way. They're different worlds, different universes, I guess.
Well,
and Iroha is sort of floating in between worlds. Strange.
14 and 11 totally connected. Did you know? So yeah,
Do we still have that jingle?
I think we do, but so Iroha claims that Siren and herself are abominations to this world. We assure her that she's awesome, but she never really listens to us. We then train, which is an awesome little cutscene where we just do battle with Iroha, and then we head to Uglepe to speak to a guy or someone named Graviton Barasaki, who lets us know that we must pass through a mother crystal to cross into the realm of the gods. So we meet up with Celteus and some bad boys who are trapped into the crystal. Siren shows up again, helps Iroha, and Siren Prime, which is like an alternate Siren, I didn't really get that part, to banish all who do not belong. Tenzin shows up to stop everything since he doesn't want Iroha to take off. She, of course, is really upset about this because it was something that she thought about for a long time, but whatever. Meet up with Dr. Shantoto, who gives us a magic doll, which will help point us in the right direction, which happens to be Esha Ruan, where we run into our old friend Balamor, who has stolen Celteus' crystal energy and wants to create a world of his own. So everybody's really into this world sim creator game that they got going on, right? He's just like, all right, I'm going to make my own world where it's my rules and you can't do anything to me. So he goes Super Saiyan, gets all golden looking, and we whoop his ass. You remember that part?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy when he got all mad and then he went yellow. I just imagined Dragon Ball Z, like his hair just whoosh.
The Dragon Balls are within my grasp.
That's right. So then we get the big reveal. This dark man, this antagonist that we've been seeing the whole time. Spoilers, yes. Is actually El Husk's future dark side.
I thought it was Newporius. Fuck.
Created to fight the darkness, but he failed. Yeah.
This is actually like where... Okay, so what this expansion is up to kind of this point is it's almost like Iroha, we need to get her back, and you're going to get help from every single other person that ever helped you in any other expansion.
Yeah, it's a big callback, a big throwback to the rest of the game.
A gigantic throwback, which includes Lilith coming back from Wings of the Goddess, by the way.
Yeah.
So she returns, which is crazy.
Only for a moment, though.
But then the rest of the expansion, which you're going to get into in a second, is very interesting in that you are actually the protagonist of the second half of this expansion.
Yeah.
where you have your dark half or whatever, your other self that was the masked man,
right?
And you have to then save the world from the cloud of darkness,
right?
So
it's bizarre because up to this point,
and you actually have lines.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Up to this point, I mean, we've been just kind of side saddling with the protagonists of the areas. I mean, each female lead
while going, listen to my story.
Yeah. That's kind of how 11 has been thus far. So that is a good point. We do end up being the expansion. So we also, after we fight Balamor, we get this sweet vision showing us all those who we've beaten down throughout time. And it's great. I love reminiscing about their deaths. We then head to the Risenjima Sanctorum. Risenjima is revealed to be the site of our last stand, and an ethereal shield is erected to save it from the void. In deciding to gather light, Elhusk creates Bizarro Elhusk, who gathers darkness. It's something that we just had to do because we're trying to become a god, essentially. Mm-hmm. We then head to a dueland, seeking Arcelia's device. Balamor has been traveling to many different worlds, but a lot of them were swallowed by the emptiness. He's pretty stoked on this Reason Shrine Orb that we've been holding, this ear.
Yeah.
And he decides, you know what? I'm going to give some of myself to this ear just to see how shit happens. So he's kind of a good guy all of a sudden. He's like, yeah, you can have some of my power. So we head to the Hall of the Gods, which up to this expansion was probably the coolest area in the game and still amazing, where it's revealed that darkness will descend when the 5 mother crystals shatter, but rejoining them will bring paradise, which is, of course, the end of Vana'diel. It's like the afterlife.
Oh, I'm getting little inklings of other Final Fantasy games all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's strange, huh?
Yeah.
Others, yes.
Other universes and
crystals.
Like dark selves that you have to... it's weird.
It's close. It's very close. So Celteus then offers Elhusk the power of the crystal in order to become a god, which is fucking sweet.
You mean I wasn't already?
Yeah, no. We then fight an ascended form of Promathia, which is a dragon named Simperne.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was the ascended form of Promathia?
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's a dragon.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was a weird part.
So Elhusk, of course, crushes the scrub and meets up with Bizarro Elhusk, and the time to fight is now. The darkness sends out a ton of those sin scale things that we saw at the very beginning of Final Fantasy X to come fight us. And all of our favorite characters wreck their faces. I mean, we got Shantoto, we got Zeed. Everybody that we've run into that's had at least 50 lines of dialogue is here, and we are fighting this thing back. Then comes the most frustrating quest in the game so far, maybe, the Panopt hunting. This was nuts.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the worst, but it was bad. It was bad. So what this is we're tasked with killing 11 of these fucking eyeball things. They're like these floating
creatures
eyeball
that are like level
body.
130.
Yeah, they're really high level, and of course, me being the stalwart hero, I decide to take on the king of these Panopts, which, okay, real quick.
Not a required part of the story.
No, not a required part. Here's what happened with this thing. Here's what happened. We go into this area, this Risenjima area, which is disgusting, by the way. Everything is super powerful. There's these pigsy things. They're pixie pigs, man. They're fucking little pigs that have like pixie wings, and they're sick. They're fucking wrong. But anyway, we go into this zone. There's a bunch of shit everywhere. There's these tigers, these little bug dudes, and these fucking pigsies, and then there's the Panopts. What we have to do is we run in and try to like dodge between the tigers and everybody else, grab a Panopt, run back to an area where no one spawns, and kill it, right? Now, I came over to that spot, and you guys had been killing them for a little while, and...
Oh, no, yeah. Killing them and then dying myself, and then having to zone, and thus restarting the quest, so I have to kill...
11 more.
Yeah, well... I would say I got to like number 7 at the highest and then would die and then had to kill 11 more after that.
So
Krenital had a much more... Krenital was the only person who stayed with us, by the way, this entire time.
Yeah, thank God
for you. Thank you very much, Krenital. Krenital had a different tactic where Krenital would just go in and defeat the tigers and whatever came in his way, but Krenital's damage output is a lot more than mine.
Yeah.
I'm a support class.
He also died in that area, so...
He also died a lot as well, but so... What I had to do eventually was I had to just cast all the invisible
don't
touch
sneak.
me spells.
Yeah.
and then I had to walk around the tigers, wait till they were far enough away that I could then cast a magic spell at the thing, aggro it, run away so that it was the only thing that had aggroed to the entrance of the area, and then fight it individually.
Right.
So I think like we estimated at the beginning of the night that it was only going to take us. I estimated 1 hour, and Critital's like, an hour? Come on. It took us like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to get on, and then I didn't get on till like an hour-ish later than what I was supposed to, and you guys were still on this quest.
No, I didn't miss you at all.
Yeah, but when I got on, I ended up doing the same tactic as Joe, except I didn't put on the invisible stuff. I didn't need to.
Had to be more sneaky.
Yeah, and I pulled this guy, this NM Panopt, and the reason, the fucked up thing was I had killed one Panopt at this point. I killed one.
Yeah.
And this guy spawns when a bunch of Panopts are killed. So I basically cleaned up you guys' fucking mess when you killed all these guys and summoned this god tier Panopt that took me 25 minutes to kill. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it because Critital said he died to this thing. And I was like, oh my God. Critital is more powerful than me. I am fucked. I think the big difference came from me having the provoke ability, because there were times where he would target a Pururu, which is my epic tier healer, the best one in the game, I believe, when he would cast reverse on himself, which is, of course, the classic Final Fantasy spell where you reverse your HP and your MP. So he would have like 40 MP left or 40 HP left, and suddenly the King Panopt would be like, whoa, let's go fucking kill that guy. And so I saw it and I was like, oh shit. So I cast Provoke on him real quick and he came back to me. I think that might have been the difference maker. But anyway, we end up killing these Panopts in this grueling fight, and that the whole point of this is essentially to restore the life stream in this area. Like, these areas are kind of a blight. They're just a disgusting thing that pollutes the live stream.
Still there.
They're totally still there. But we kill 11 of them in one go, and that's enough to allow Celteus to regain his powers. We then meet up with Altana, finally. Altana comes in, and we have Bizarro El Husk and El Husk. We're both in there. We're both talking to Altana, and Altana makes us fight to the death. Altana is disgusting. She demands blood. This is like a Colosseum-style duel here. Thankfully, El Husk had trusts and teammates. And Bizarro El Husk, now, while he did ascend and become Matus, didn't really matter. We slaughtered Matus. We try out. Everyone's super stoked. We get a bunch of congratulations when we get out. But then all of a sudden, the Cloud of Darkness begins corrupting the Mother Crystal, which we can't destroy. And because it would just ruin everything. If we destroy it, then darkness will consume everything, but it's going to fuck up everything we've been doing if it does corrupt it completely. So the Phoenix Blade then leads us to a stone circle in Lathaen, where the gods enter the material plane. This is where we pack our Reason Shrine Orb with the powers of Alexander, Odin, Freet, Shiva, Ramu, Titan, Garuda, Leviathan, Atomos, Kate-Sith, Diablos, Fenrir, Bahamut, and we go back to the Sanctorium for the ultimate fight. Now, this is where all of the previous expansions' heroines, in trust form, by the way, they're all trusts. They just like auto-summon the trust. We don't even get a chance for this cutscene. And they fight tooth and nail to stymie the advance of the Claws of Darkness.
Let's talk about the Claws of Darkness. So they're sort of like, I don't know, there's some weird mix between Sin and I would say, I guess it's sort of in the same realm where the Empire had the tornado that was going through in Final Fantasy II in what it's doing.
Yeah.
But it looks like the Mutos from Godzilla, the 2014 Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it does.
Like the claws, they look like the claws from that movie. Every time, man, they're always ripping off something that happened like 2 years before they make something.
It's true. Square loves to borrow. I mean, Cripe, even the fucking Chocobo is borrowed. The big thing that everyone knows is Final Fantasy is a fucking little candy ball. It even says Que. The candy ball ad even says Que.
Yeah.
He speaks Chocobo.
That's crazy.
I know.
Anyway, I thought the Cloud of Darkness thing, like taking things, was cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was in this part or if it's after this part when your double has been suffering in the darkness world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, it's terrible."
Yeah, dude. And then he actually joins with you. He becomes one with you, which is, it was a gay kind of moment, but it was awesome because it was almost like the ending of Halo 1 when you play it on Legendary, and then the chief like turns to the alien guy and he's like, "Hold me." That's what was running through my mind when like they walked into each other. So we became light and dark once again, and it was awesome. So this is where we get a ball and cutscene where Iroha is given all the power of the shrine orb, the orb that we've been carrying, and Phoenix is restored to full power. And Phoenix like just pops out, just comes into being right behind Iroha, and it's fucking sweet looking. And now
Iroha is a redhead.
Yes, Iroha's, thank God, yes, she's a redhead. So Phoenix is fully restored to power, and this causes the Cloud of Darkness to sort of manifest itself in a physical form, whereas before it was like the fog from Stephen King. Like the fog is what seems like it's the bad thing, but then really it's monsters in the fog.
Yeah, with Muto claws.
With Muto claws, yes. But now it's a full-on thing, and we commence this fight, which is a pain in the fucking ass.
Okay, Cloud of Darkness kind of reminded me of Orphan from the end of Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, in style.
In style. Not the look of it necessarily, but in style, kind of the flat head thing.
Really awkward looking, yeah. It looked sweet, though.
It did. It did look really sweet. The area looked awesome.
Oh, yeah. The area had, like, little scenes from the previous expansions playing in it, since this is like there was like these walls of light, and it would have Arcelia, and then it would have Little Set, and then it would have Nashmiria, and then like little scenes, little epic things from it. Well, the whole time while the fight's going on, it's fucking sweet, man.
Now, unfortunately, one of us did not make it through the fight.
That's okay. We all died in the end. So yeah, we take on the final fight. Special shout out again to Abu for helping us out. Thank God that I found you.
Thank God for you.
Yeah. El Husk's body couldn't survive the clash and must find respite in the Mother Crystal. The only way his light will shine in this world again will be through a chorus of life, crying out through time and space. The Rhapsodies of Vana'diel. Iroha donates her hair to us, which is good since I'm totally losing mine, and disappears once again. Then the final song picks up, and we hear a rhapsody to rival Queens, the band.
I don't know if it's that good.
No, it's not, but it was awesome. So while we were sitting there watching this, Joe was pointing out that he's like, I think we're dead right here. And looking back on it and rewatching it and prepping for this thing, we were. This was like us being gone, and like that's why everybody was all misty and weird. Not that those people were dead, but they were trusts.
So you fight the Cloud of Darkness, you defeat it, and then there's a cutscene after the end where you're suddenly in that weird realm.
Yeah.
That you've been fighting in for forever.
The Risenjima?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like the quiet version of it.
Yeah,
There's nothing there.
It's an alternate Risenjima.
It's just a beautiful little forest with a shrine, and then you see all the people, all the lovers, I guess you would say, all the female protagonists.
Yes, of course, my concubines from before.
From the previous expansions, and they all wave at you kind of dreamlike, and then you meet Iroha, and Iroha ascends, and there's a beam of light.
Yep.
And I was like, I was thinking for a moment, because at the beginning I was like, wouldn't it be funny if like this was the end of Les Mis and he's looking up at the angel and he's like going into the death, and then you mentioned Lord of the Rings, like they're going on the ship.
And then 5 minutes later Krenital catches up and he's like, God, that was like Lord of the Rings.
No, I think Krenital was kind of mad that we made a joke that we were dead. He's like, we're not dead.
Well, we were.
I thought it was. I mean, in my mind, and it would certainly make the ending even better, if it were a metaphor for death, I would like it very much.
Yeah.
I think it might not have been. I think we might have been just in an in-between world, and then we're sent back to the world, to the regular Vana'diel world. But, I thought, like, the way the cutscene was made, it really looked like a death metaphor ending.
Yeah, well, I think it was.
Okay.
But I do think that the Rhapsody of Vana'diel was meant to bring us back to life. That was the thing that would give us power to resurrect us to the mortal realm. And speaking of the Rhapsody, the song at the end, the song in and of itself was a thank you to the fans, and Mizuta actually came up with the idea of asking players to contribute to the song. So the voices that rang out during that final cutscene when we had the singing, the chorus, that was actual players, actual adventurers.
Where was my invite?
From Vana'diel. Dude, they did it last year. We totally could have done it.
I don't. It sounds like it was something for the Japanese players. That's what that.
It was everybody. The site's in English.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you could upload a zip file. They gave you a sample. So Square Enix had a whole page dedicated to fan submissions of La La La's, essentially, which is what it was.
Well, it was a lot of rah rah rahs as well. Unfortunately,
that's probably the Japanese.
It was the sound.
No, that was the Japanese players doing the hurrah.
I know
instead of the la, because the L is a tough sound.
It sounded like an L for a while, and then it kind of like turned into something else. So now I know why, because it was the players.
Yeah, so there's a zip file of all the music, a vocal sample, and the music sheet. They requested that users submit the file along with their character name so they could get recognition for being part of it. It was available to both active players and subscribed ones alike. Unfortunately, the voices of New Boreas and El Husk are not among those singing this Rhapsody because we didn't know. Are we? I kind of remember something about.
I don't remember that at all.
But I think that's fucking awesome. I think that is a sweet way to get an orchestra set up for this final thing, because it is the adventurers in the game. Like, it is actually from Vana'diel. That's
pretty crazy.
It's the voices of those who are playing or had played, bringing us back and giving us power to survive again. Like, I think that's so cool. It's fucking awesome.
All right, so this expansion reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy IV. What with your kind of the dark half that you need to defeat of yourself.
Yeah.
While at the same time, of course, being a callback to Final Fantasy III.
With the darkness.
Yeah. Or Final Fantasy V with X-Death, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, and also FF3, the Doppelganger Heroes of Light, or Warriors of Light. Exactly. That's kind of along the lines of what your
except
dude
that they're
is.
In the same world, and this is like a different universe sort of thing.
Yeah, this is like
entangled.
string theory in 11. It's like the different strands of reality.
Yeah, but then going against it, so they're breaking the strands of reality. Anyway, I thought it was very good. There's a lot of really beautiful cutscenes in this thing. Nothing as like extremely flashy like we saw at the end of Promathia or Wings or Seekers of Adulan, but very well made nonetheless.
Yeah, I think the cutscene where they're fighting back the claws and stuff like that was an amazing cutscene, and I felt like basically the last three major cutscenes in this expansion, I feel like were some of the best that Final Fantasy XI has ever graced us with. There were some great things at the end of Promathia, it's true, but this thing was beast, and I absolutely loved it.
Okay, so there is something I want to say about this expansion in particular that the other two expansions did not have. Brevity. Brevity is the soul of wit, as a certain William Shakespeare once said. Now, Final Fantasy XI up to this point has not followed that advice.
No.
In fact, every cutscene since Chains of Promathia, it seems like, and getting longer and longer since that expansion, there's a lot of cutscenes that are cutscenes that lead to cutscenes. In other words, let's talk for a minute in here before we go inside and actually delve into whatever the problem is, and then there's a twist. So cutscenes often were like 10 to 15 minutes long of just text, straight up wall of text.
Yeah, they got pretty crazy in 11.
And maybe half a dozen times within each expansion there was something interesting that happened in the middle of the thing, but usually it was a lot of explanation, a lot of exposition before going into and doing whatever quest you need to do. Now this expansion improved I don't know if they got a new writer for this expansion. It seems like they did.
There's not a lot of info on dev history for this, so I don't know. They might have just learned from 14. Oh, wait, never mind.
No.
14 does the same thing.
No, 14 does do the same thing. 14 has the extremely long cutscenes.
Yeah, that are just filled with like exposition at the ass.
So much. But this one, no. The cutscenes, with the exception of a couple of the final ones, the cutscenes were like 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
And
they got the information across in a good way, and they moved on.
It was still emotionally compelling, and it was fine, and it just kept going. And it's like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like, knowing that we have 12 cutscenes to get through coming up, and
it's not a grind on your soul.
We're not going, okay, this is going to take us 12 hours to... we're just sitting there with our eyes and just glazing over, and we're hitting the
enter key or whatever.
The enter key in order to get it to move, and we're like, Jesus Christ, this is taking too long.
That's what the original FF11 was for me. It was rough, man. Like, I could not follow that thing. It's because there were so many things going on, and there would be important stuff interspersed with me collecting eggs for this like dude in Bastock. Like, there was a mission. You remember that, where we had to go collect eggs forever, and it was interspersed with actual story content leading back to like Zed and a bunch of these other people in the past and shit, and Raelgrim and the ascension of the Shadow Lord, and it made it really tough to follow because it's like you're giving me this stuff that I feel is unimportant, and then you're putting in stuff that's really important alongside it, and it was just too much before. But Rhapsodies, I definitely agree with you. It did improve on the flow of the game, the flow of the storytelling. I felt like it was awesome to include all of the other expansions along with it, these characters that we've been running into experiences with for hours on end throughout this game. I felt like that was an excellent way to do it, and honestly, there were a lot of cutscenes in this one. I think it had way more cutscenes than it did quests and battlefields, which is something that Treasures of Aht-Urgan suffered from as well. It had very little gameplay, and it was majorly just cutscene grinding for Treasures, right? And this one sort of had the similar feel, but it was a lot quicker than Treasures, and it was a big callback, and you were seeing these characters once again, and I felt like it was super well done, and I didn't have any problems with it. No.
I didn't have any problems with it either. I think Square designed this expansion. I think it's technically an add-on, but it's finishing the other expansion. So,
yeah.
And they called it an expansion when they were coming out with it, so it's an expansion, right?
Yeah.
With this expansion, it's almost like you're supposed to supplement it while you're playing through the rest of the game. If you're a new player especially, I mean, this expansion is supposed to be kind of a break from the other ones, and it's almost like been redesigned as the thread of the game. It's kind of strange that way. And we played the first third.
Most of the first third.
Individually when it came out so that we could get an extra trust.
Yeah.
But past that, I mean, we played it in one stream, so we're certainly not playing it the way that we're supposed to play it. But that might also be why the cutscenes are shorter, because they're not looking at it as a full expansion,
right? Yeah,
where you're supposed to be really involved in what's happening.
Yeah,
but they're actually looking at it as a sort of supplemental thing that then gives you a climax for the entire game.
You know, that being said, though, I would not dissuade anyone to not come back in and play this thing. Like, if you've gone through all of the previous expansions for Final Fantasy XI, get back on, man. Get back on, spend $11-12 and get through this thing in a month. It's not that tough. If you run into problems, you can always go try to find a party and fight the Cloud of Darkness at the end. I think it was great. I think it works well on the way that we did it, because I remember when we first started doing the Rhapsodies of Vana'diel stuff, when Lion showed up in it, and it was totally weird because Lion was... like, it wasn't a big reveal at the time because Lion was not dead yet. So then, like, Lion was there, and I was like, is Lion the main in this one? Like, this is weird. And then Iroha shows up, and Lion kind of like, oh, yeah, Lion's dead. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we find out when we see Lion die later. So it was an odd moment because we hadn't gotten to the part where Lion sacrifices herself to save everybody.
That
but
extra trust is worth it.
We saw a Lion. Yeah. So regardless of how you guys play this thing, it is definitely worth it. It works as the capstone. It works as a supplement to kind of give you some more info on each area.
I think it works as a full expansion. It's like a light expansion. I would say it's close to Treasures of Otter-Gon in that way, where it feels like a light expansion. Not that many quests are involved
for now.
However, the cutscenes are way better and shorter.
Yeah, there's some
Treasures of Otter-Gon.
There's some things I loved about Otter-Gon, but it had a similar tone as far as the amount of quests and cutscenes. But these ones were much more enjoyable to me. It was great.
Did you write down our final times for Final Fantasy 11?
I did. Our final times.
We will probably reiterate it in a bit here, or on our Final Fantasy 11 final episode.
Right.
I just want to write it down here.
So my time was 14 days, 12 hours, 35 minutes, and 6 seconds. And that's probably a little bit higher now.
35 minutes?
35 minutes, 6 seconds.
How did we both get 35 minutes?
Well, yours is 35 seconds. Yours is 14 days.
14 days?
19 hours. And 5 minutes and 35 seconds. So most of the reason why Joe has more than me is he tried to grind. So what happens in 11, okay, if you've ever played Ocarina of Time for about a week, maybe a couple days, and then not played Ocarina of Time and then tried to play it again, you have no idea what's going on, right? Sure. It's an old game. You have no fucking idea what is going on.
I guess.
That's how I played it.
Okay.
11's the same way. Joe jumped in, was doing Let's Plays when we were in the podcast.
It was Let's Plays of dying. So I think I had 8 hours on you before you got in the game.
It was something like that. So he basically...
So now I have 5 hours on you.
He learned the grind, and then lost the grind, and then learned the grind again when we came back in the second time because there's a mental block that you have to overcome with 11. You may want to kill yourself at first, but don't do it. It's worth it in the end. It's just, it's hard to understand in the beginning because it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't help you at all. It's just there. So you learned the game twice. You got a little bit more time than me. It's understandable, but
and there was that moment this week where I was in the bathroom sick and I had left my character in the game for 2 hours.
Yeah, that didn't help.
No.
But it's funny, though, because I have a lot better stuff. My guy's, like, way more powerful. But then again, Red Mage can be really awesome. Yours isn't. But a lot of the reason why it isn't is because there are some super expensive spells out there that you need.
Yeah, there's a few, like, sort of Red Mage needs this spell sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't have
They're
those.
sick, expensive
but
ones.
I did. I felt like at the end of Seekers of Vana'diel, I knew how to play my character.
Yeah.
And I knew what I had to do, and it was using the abilities that I had gained at 99 with the Black Mage stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like normally my enfeebling spells would not work on a boss, and they have a pretty good % chance of hitting on the regular enemies.
All right.
And so what happens is like I have 4 abilities, 4 out of like the 7 job abilities that I have for Red Mage are based upon making your next spell a lot stronger. And so what happens is I got to use one of those, and then I have to use slow, and then one of those, and then gravity, and then one of those, and then frazzle 2, and then addle, and all those things help slow the boss down.
Right.
So that's what I had been doing for this expansion and for the end of Seekers of Vana'diel. So that's when my character, I felt like I was actually doing something because I had slowed the boss down, and I had weighed the boss down. So
yeah,
the boss wasn't attacking nearly as much or for nearly as much damage as it was before. And I was also casting haste on certain high damage people in our parties. I don't know if you were noticing what I was doing. But
yeah, I saw it.
So I feel like I was contributing.
Yeah,
near the end.
Yeah, I feel like that's true, and
I was also raising you motherfuckers for both this final fight, and the last final fight from Seekers.
True, although I will say, if you were capable of curing me enough, you wouldn't have to raise me. And we had so many party members in that last fight that we couldn't afford to trust, so You were the white mage, you and Krinital, and you guys did not have enough mana regen. But this game is not 14, okay? It is not the game where you get mana just for being cool and doing shit the right way. White mage in 14, easy.
Nope. After all the protective spells at the beginning, like my high level protect and shell, which were higher levels than Krinital, or whoever else was casting the protective spells. I had protect 5 and shell 5.
Yeah.
And so that was my job. And by the time I was done casting that on everybody, my mana was almost all the way gone. And then we had to cure you guys.
Yeah.
And then I was out of mana. And so I had to keep casting refresh on myself and then running around, because running around for some reason generates MP faster than just standing still.
Yeah.
And so that was my life, was
12.
running around, and then once you guys died or if you got close to health, I would either cure or I would raise you.
I think FF12 does that too with the mana, doesn't it?
It does.
You have to move.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Kinda. I love the at least we can see the enemies, that we're not moving around and then suddenly the screen shatters and we get to fucking die.
I think it was my favorite boss, though. I think that was a very cool boss fight and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The last fight being harder in my opinion, harder
is
on
fine.
Seekers of Adulan. That was a fun experience, but the boss fight was too hard for me to say.
Yeah, Hades wasn't as fun as Cloud of Darkness, I don't think. I think this was
actually fun.
Yeah, it was brutal too.
And we played with other people in the game.
Yeah, we made it the MMO again. Like, it's been not MMO for a while, and this expansion brought it back. Same with Seekers.
I think it would be hard for a new player of 11 to come into this game, because without a support group like we have.
Yeah, if you guys are starting FF11, get on the forums and talk to us. We know what you need to do.
That's true, yeah.
You don't need to spend a ton of time in FF11. You can do it in a couple weeks.
I bet you could beat it in 13 days.
I bet you can, because there was probably 24 hours of us doing the wrong thing.
Yep.
Or something that we didn't necessarily need, grinding out one thing when we find out like 10 seconds later, oh, hey, here's this new thing that's better.
It's a ridiculously dense game.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and it's tough because you think, oh, hey, I figured out a way to get better stuff. And it's great because it is better stuff, but you know what? It was better stuff. Another. Yeah, there's always a bigger fish, right?
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn. Crappy movie. But the problem with 11 is you find like, oh, hey, there's some cool items here. Let's work on getting them. But that is the base game, and there's 7 other expansions on top of that base game with stuff that's way better. And that's what we ran into. We would spend time grinding out these silly little things to find out that it's obsolete in like 10 minutes. So let us know if you're getting into this game. And by the way, it is probably the best bang for your buck as far as
as far as game time and
hours
and price. Yeah.
No. How you looked up your thing last night, and how many months did you pay for 11?
Well, I think I was paying for 11 past when we were playing it, so I don't know. But my thing said that I got in there in April.
Okay, let's say
a little early. But
mine, I'm gonna say we did it for about 2 months before. And I had a month free. Don't you get a month free when you do a new account?
I think we did get like a month free.
Yeah, so I've paid, it's probably been around $110 total for Final Fantasy 12 or 11, sorry. And the game client is free now, so that's $25 off of my initial cost. So you're looking at about $90 for 14 days worth of content. 14 days.
All right,
now.
So the average game is 14 hours for $60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is $3.05 an hour to play Final Fantasy 11. If you play it and you beat it in 6 months, you get all of it done. $3.05. That is cheap, man.
Is it?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
That's great.
Well, and the Windows client is free, so you don't even have to buy the game anymore.
It is, yeah. You can download it and just start playing. You'll have to pay the monthly subscription. It's about
after
12.
the 30 days free.
After, yeah.
Which, I mean, if you decided that you were going to take a month off from work and eat, sleep, and drink Final Fantasy 11, you could do it all for free.
Yeah, and that's including the...
It is possible, although not probable and very difficult to do.
You could do all of it in that one free month if you want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All 14 days.
You take off a month from work.
No, you wouldn't have to take that off. You would just have to do 12-hour play days. Just 12 hours every day. and you will have it.
Really?
That's half of the month, 15 days.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, get the client and make it a 12-hour-a-day thing, and you will be done with FF11.
So you're getting 6 hours of sleep every day.
Yeah. If you start now, you can call on us because our accounts aren't turned off for another couple weeks, and maybe we can help you through some of the boss fights.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah.
I'll help. I'm going to do a Halloween event that's coming up, dude. I looked at the thing online.
God.
Dude, there's NPCs that are trick-or-treaters, man. I can go hand out candy.
I can walk away from this game and never touch it again, but fucking...
Me and Krinatal are beaten housewives, is what you called us last night, and it's true. We just keep coming back. Because he's like, man, this game has taken all my life. We got to finish this game. And then someone asked about the Shantoto stuff, and then on the forum, and I was like, hey, I'll do it maybe.
Let's get to that Shantoto stuff in a minute.
All right. And then I summoned Krinatal, and he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, yes. You can't not come back. You're mine, boy.
So, Schweiss, our rankings... you got our final times for all the expansions.
Yes, everything up to the end of Rhapsodies.
All full expansions. So we didn't include the add-on scenarios.
Right.
Which we'll get to in a second. The rankings so far, Schweiss. I have Wings of Promathia as...
Wings of the Goddess.
Wings of the Goddess. Wings of the Goddess is number 1. I have Chains of Promathia as number 2. I have Rise of the Xylart as number 3, Treasures of Vana'diel as number 4, Seekers of Vana'diel as number 5, and I think probably the worst storyline in the entire game is the main storyline, the Bastok missions.
Which sucks because that affected where we put 11 overall.
Yeah, and really there's hardly a difference between the Bastok missions and the Windhurst and the Sandoria missions.
Except the theme song in Bastok is horrible compared to the others.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You have Chains of Promathia is number 1, Wings of the Goddess number 2, Seekers of Vana'diel number 3, which is wrong. Treasures of Vana'diel number 4, Rise of the Xylart number 5, and then of course, once again, you agree with me that the Bastok missions are the worst main storyline.
Yes, don't let it dissuade you.
Yeah, and you can choose a different starting city, but you will just get to the... it's the same story.
It is.
You go do quests to get stuff for your city, and at the same time, there's this looming threat called the Shadow Lord.
And then you fight him, and then bam,
then you fight him, and then that's the end thing. And
then
you got to fight him again,
right? Yeah.
If you continue on, that could have been our story recount for that.
Yeah, that we could have had a 10-minute Final Fantasy 11 episode. So there's some things, you go to some places, you fight a guy. It's over.
Yeah. And now like a 12-parter.
Yes, we're basically an 11 show. Anyway, where are you going to put Rhapsodies of Vana'diel in your overall rankings?
You know, this is kind of tough because I do still think that Wings of the Goddess is the best expansion, especially the ending of Wings of the Goddess, but this does actually come pretty close. And I know some people might be like, well, it's not really a full expansion because you didn't have new classes or whatever, and whatever. I don't give a fuck what those people say. I do think that my experience was more positive than Chains of Promathia, though, so I'm going to go ahead and put Rhapsodies. I think it is the second best main storyline in Final Fantasy XI. I think it goes Wings, Rhapsodies, Promathia, Xylart, Urgon, Seekers, and then Bastok.
Okay. I can respect that. This is tough. It's looming between number 1 and number 3.
Why is that?
Well, I'm not sure, because part of me realizes that even though the new Star Wars movie is just a better, more, better looking version of A New Hope.
Better looking, yes.
Better in a lot of ways, I would say. Acting, directing is, well, maybe not directing, but acting, I would say it might be better.
Okay.
But can I truly say that a recap, that a callback is better than its original? I don't know. That's the question here. Can it be?
That's up to you to decide, man. This is your ranking.
It isn't. I'm going to put it right below Wings of the Goddess. I absolutely loved Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, and it was a lot of fun. I recommend it to everyone out there who's played Final Fantasy XI. Jump on, finish as much as you can based on what other expansions you experienced. It is totally worth it. Wings of the Goddess edges it out because of the awesome story. The ending was just phenomenal. I loved the collecting memories of Lilithset and manifesting her, and that was really cool. I hated the beginning part of Wings of the Goddess, though. It was such a grind, and that's also why I put it above Seekers, because the beginning part of that one was a super grind, and then it just kind of devolves from there. So definitely worth your time, guys. Please jump on if you have any questions.
I don't know. Well, look, in order to beat Rhapsodies, you do have to beat Seekers of Vana'diel.
You do, but you can still experience some of Rhapsodies.
You know, feel free to put a bullet in your brain while you're playing Seekers of Vana'diel, but I guess you can hold on to the hope that Rhapsodies will be better than Seekers of Vana'diel by the end.
Yeah. Yeah, we both agreed on that, at least.
Oh, man. Yeah, look at that. This feels weird twice.
I know. It's like we're not gonna hear Krinital 4 days a week now. We're not gonna hear him.
I guess not.
That's sad.
It is.
We're not gonna have. How can we have a life of a time now, Joe? How can we have a life of a time?
Yeah.
Tell me.
That's a good question. So now let's talk about whether or not we're doing those add-on scenarios.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
We've had two people, or it might just be one person on both Twitter and the forums, I'm not sure. Because I forgot the name. I'm sorry. But we've had two people go, are you going to do the Shantoto Ascension add-on scenario?
Because Shantoto is a big deal in some of the mobile games, Brave Exvius.
So there was an expansion release that had 3, or it actually had like 6, but only 3 that are like counted, I guess. Add-on scenarios, which were sort of mini expansions that didn't really... they were sort of like sideline little stories, I guess. One was Shantoto Ascension, another one was Crystalline Prophecy, and then the third one's name I just forgot.
It's like a Mughal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Mughal or Kupo. It's the Kupo de Ta is what it is. Yeah, Kupo de Ta. So those 3 add-on scenarios are like, I don't know, like a fourth the size of a regular expansion.
Yeah.
And
they're also level 75 content, so if there's any fights.
It would have been during or before or after Wings of the Goddess, not sure. If we were to have counted those as main storylines, which they weren't. They weren't expansions. They're not called that in the game. You have to go to when you go in the missions menu, it's an add-on.
Yeah, didn't they come out when that what is that one that came out? The one that's like just the battles, like you can grind out equipment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember the name of the expansion. I'm sure we'll talk about it. I feel like
it came out around the same time as
FF11 wrap-up episode. Yeah. So here was the thing. So Schweiss feels compelled, or at least did a few days ago, right? You explain yourself.
So I feel like Shantoto being cool. I like Shantoto. She's a great character, wonderful character, and I feel like we should probably do it. I mean, I was kind of thinking that I was going to do it as that one segment that I did twice, where it was Schweiss cleans up the last game, because I haven't had time to clean up anything in the last fucking year, so I haven't done it. But I was thinking we do these, or I do these, and I just kind of talk about them passively, like, oh, hey, I finished this and this, and it was fun, it was good, blah, blah, blah. And then I mentioned it to Joe, and suddenly Joe wanted to do it, but then it was like, okay, I don't know. Joe didn't necessarily want to do it, but if I was going to do it, he wanted to do it, and we're not sure whether or not we want to make it part of it, like an episode. So what'll happen is we have Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings ahead of us, right? We're going to play that next. That's what we're going to start playing. We both turned our accounts for 11 off, and they will expire in due time.
October 29th.
Mine's November 4th.
Oh, okay.
Now,
look at that.
Because of that, we have time to do Shantoto and Kupo de Pa and whatever the fuck the other one.
All right.
Theoretically.
Let me explain my angle here. So your initial thing was like, okay, Joe, you're not going to do it because I said, look, if you're going to do Shantoto Ascension, then someone, somewhere, at some time will go, why didn't you do Crystalline Prophecy?
Yeah.
And why didn't you do fuck it. Kupo Data. Why didn't you do those ones? And then we'd be like, well, because Shantoto's cool.
I would just be like, because we didn't want to.
That doesn't sound like a fucking, like, if we're the ultimate Final Fantasy podcast, we either recognize those as just extra quests, which is what they are, just large ones, and move on and say, you know, that's extra stuff in the game. We beat the story. We put 14 days into this expansion. You know, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But then if you do Shantoto Ascension, to me, it looks bad because it goes, especially if you do it alone, then it's like, okay, you did it. First of all, you did it out of order. Second off, you know, you decided to do a whole episode around this add-on scenario. We wouldn't do a whole episode on like an extra quest in one.
Well, it depends. Games. We don't know what the add-on scenario entails. You don't know that that's true. It might be enough content to make an episode.
Most of it was cutscenes.
We made an episode on what the fuck was that FF7 thing that was like 20 minutes?
We've done a lot of those.
No, it's the one that was the one that's not canon. It's that old animated one.
Yeah.
We did that, and you know what else we did an episode on? We did an episode on Interlude.
But it was
Interlude, a 2-hour Final Fantasy IV game. We did an episode on.
It was its own thing, though. Once again, just like the end of Final Fantasy II, when you can move on in some versions of the game, it is an extra thing. It is an extra thing. That's all it is. It's not its own game. It's not even its own expansion. It's just an extra thing. And I don't have a problem doing episodes on 3 extra things that we both do, but I did have a problem with you doing Shantoto Ascension by yourself, talking for 10 minutes and having that be the episode. Like, to me, that felt wrong. And so my thing is, I will play those things as all 3 things before I play Revenant Wings, or as like, oh, let's wrap up. Okay, extra little time for the add-on scenarios in Final Fantasy 11. There's 3 of them. Let's do it. Or you can do the one by yourself or with Krenital, and it won't be an episode. It will just be you talking for 2 minutes about how it was.
Yeah. Well, here's what I think we should do.
Okay.
I think we should do it, but we shouldn't do it right now. We should do Revenant Wings, and maybe if we have time after Revenant Wings, we can wrap up and do some of these extra things.
That's out of order.
It doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. This isn't something we've ever included. Or what we can do is get through Final Fantasy XIV's expansion, and then create a new section of the show, a little mini season where it's just add-on scenarios.
Which there's only 3.
There's only these 3. There you go, right there. Now, the problem I have with that is we will be going from one MMO back onto another MMO, and then not playing an MMO for fucking ever until 14 comes out with its next expansion after this one that's going to be announced in like a few days.
Probably.
Well, it's all but announced at this point.
Okay.
And then we're going to be done with MMOs. We're going to be just single-player campaigns forever.
Well, yeah.
So we could push this back even further. I mean,
I think, okay. Well, no, because then...
Let's do it.
What about the add-on scenario of Final Fantasy II?
Don't say that on the show.
I have to say it because...
we don't have that version, do we?
No, we didn't play that version.
We can't play it then.
Yeah, I know we can't.
How about this, guys?
Unless we play it on an emulator with someone else's save state, which is
That's cheating in every way. Wait, which one? Mm-hmm. Using someone else's save?
No, emulating.
Oh.
Yeah.
Odd.
For a game you don't own.
Strange.
Yeah.
Oh, you owned FF1, didn't you?
And
You emulated it. You fuck.
I own FF2. On that, baby.
All right.
Anyway, that's just...
Those don't count, though. That's like going deep. That's saying that, oh, well, you guys didn't do the extra dungeons and after years in each character scenario.
Or in 3, where they added dungeons in newer versions of the game.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't count. And I don't think the 2 thing counts really either. We can make it count if we want, but I don't think we should. I think these things are different. This is us wanting a little more MMO in our lives for a short time. I think we should do it that way. I think we should play these, but down the road somewhere, so that we get another multiplayer thing.
Caleb Craig, should we move on or should we play these add-on scenarios? We're waiting. Hold on.
Just play the 3 and then be done with 11 for all of eternity.
You mean play the 3 like this week?
Play the 3, have that be one episode, and then just be done.
Craig says play the 3, but
I agree with Craig.
I don't really care what Craig says.
I think we should just finish 11 right now.
Well, we already canceled our things. Like, if we don't finish
I know. We have a few days. We'll do it.
Will we?
Yeah, it can.
Will we?
It cannot be. And I mean, I could eat my words here, but I don't think I will. In fact, I'm willing to put money on it. It cannot be as bad as Seekers.
Wow.
There's nothing that's going to get in the way like Seekers did. And Seekers is the only one that took us more than 3 weeks.
Yeah, Seekers did, but Wings took us a while too. It was 2 weeks though, I think.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so you say we do it now?
I say we do it now.
Ah, Jesus, dude. I was done.
We'll do it now. We'll do the fucking add-on thing after we review Kingslave. And then we'll have our Final Fantasy XI wrap-up.
I guess. I think this is a stupid idea, but
well, it makes it so that we don't have to pay for another month of it.
Well, we don't have to do any of it. Is the thing?
That's true.
We don't have to play FF2 because we played this. We don't have to play this. We don't have to do.
I'm saying
we don't have to do anything that they say they want us to do.
We are the ultimate.
All right.
Final Fantasy podcast.
Yeah, and you know what's not ultimate? The FF2 expansion thing, and we are not touching it. You hear me? Never. We'll do this 11 thing, and we'll be done with 11. All right?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
All right.
I'm fine. I was more fine with being fucking done yesterday, but...
Well, I mean, we are done, but now we're going to go through some easy quests.
We're not fucking done.
They're level 75 things. They're super easy, I'm sure. And it'll take like an afternoon for each one of them. I bet we don't even have to play together. I bet we can just play on our own time.
Yeah, we probably can. All right, so I'm cool with it, though. I did want to do at least Shantoto, and I can see where you're coming from with wanting to do the other 2 ones that I have.
Someone will cop a shit for it. I'm the most worried about that.
Yeah, but we don't care when they do.
I do.
Someone copped a fit about us not doing the FF2 thing, and have we done the FF2 thing?
No one gave a fit about the FF2 thing, but... The thing is with the FF2 thing that we didn't play that version and it was an extra thing and it was tacked on. With FF11, I guess we do.
We paid for it. That's my reasoning behind us playing it. We paid for this expansion.
We do have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and we bought the game. The game wasn't free for you and I, so this is material that we paid for, thus should play. That's kind of what I told Joe when I said we should do Shantoto. And then he said we should do the other 2.
Well, because it's like, why are we giving Shantoto special?
Because she's cooler. There, how about that?
We don't know. Maybe the Kupo guy is cool.
Come on.
And maybe the Crystalline Prophecy is
What the fuck is Crystalline Prophecy?
I have no idea.
Exactly. Can't be cooler.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. We'll do it all, though. I don't mind it.
Fine.
So, Credital.
So we're going to go backwards in time for the first time in history of Final Fantasy, of Ultima Final Fantasy for...
No, we do this all the time.
Okay, fine. We did expansions, now we're doing add-ons.
Yeah.
That'll make us feel better.
Yep. And I guess this will be nice because we already paid for this month. We won't have to come back and pay for another month to do a 1-week grind of cutscenes and quests. So.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Caleb, for weighing in there.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
All right. So we're pretty far along in our episode. We got some iTunes reviews.
We do. What's up, Strike Knight?
Thank you.
You're still here
for joining us, Strike Knight. Fucking, I'm just gonna walk out on. I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really.
All right, we'll start with the one from the Great North.
The North.
All right. Go ahead. Yes, we have a few reviews this week. One of them by Matthew Beverly from the Great North. A great companion, a 5-star review. About 3 years ago, I played my first Final Fantasy game. After hearing about the series for my whole life, I finished 13, and loved it. After 13, I was determined to play the whole series. I've collected the games and any older consoles required to get them. So far, I've played 1, 2, 6, 7, and 9, and 13. I'm halfway through 3 right now on the DS, and I'm already dreading that final dungeon from what I've heard. I discovered your podcast about 2 months ago, and it's been a great listen so far. I especially enjoy the review episodes for the games that I have played thus far. A few weeks ago, I finished FF2, and then I listened to your review, and it was awesome. Your comment about Gus eating his own hair made me laugh out loud.
I don't remember that.
Pretty sure that was you.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Loving the FF15 coverage so far. I've been trying to consume any/all media about it, and I really enjoy your coverage of it. It was the first FF game that I'll get as soon as it comes out. Looking forward to listening to your coverage of the games as I play them and the other episodes as well. I suspect that it will take me around a year or two to finish the main games, but for every step along the way, I'll be listening to you guys. Thanks.
Yes, the main games. Wait until you've decided to do every single spin-off.
Yeah, and then you'll be with us for years.
Yeah.
Cheers from Newfoundland. We got some North America reviews here. We'll start with the most recent one.
Okay.
This one's a 5-star review from Sakao Balde. It's titled, Just Like a Replay of the FF series. Listening to the reviews of each FF has been great. It makes me want to pick up Final Fantasy IX again. Oh man, I thought we fucked up on that one. And play through on my phone. The impetus for writing this review, however... Impetus, sorry.
Impetus?
I don't know!
There's another one, guys. Write it down.
Fuck you, Joe. No one uses that word. The impetus
People
for writing...
People use the word impetus.
You just pronounced it wrong!
Impetus!
I just fucking... All right, the impetus...
Fuck you!
The impetus for writing this review, however...
Impetus. No, Caleb, no, stick with it. Stick with the impetus.
Is their pinup guy episode. You guys are so funny. And the raunchy music in the background was just perfect. So fuck off. Although I take a bit of umbrage to dismissing characters that may or may not be homosexual. Who cares, guys? Hot is hot to anyone attracted to men. I think you guys are hilarious. Please continue making your magic, and I'll continue to listen and be a fanboy. Now, we didn't necessarily do that for Laguna. We just think Laguna's an idiot. So... You said something about
I probably said something that wasn't a fully formed thought. I don't care if Laguna's gay, but I think there was something about like the super macho-iness ladies man thing that I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
It was something made for laughs and not an actual like comment that meant anything.
Yeah.
Which is normal.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So we have another 5-star review here from Felicia Nomiko, a podcast for lovers of the game. If you don't like Final Fantasy, this isn't the podcast for you. If you love Final Fantasy,
non-Final Fantasy fans, go fuck yourself. Get out of here.
If you love Final Fantasy to the point of thinking its poop doesn't stink, this is not the podcast for you. And that's why I love it. The guys love Final Fantasy, but aren't fanboys, and will call it like it is as far as they see it. I respect that and appreciate their honesty. I cannot stand listening to people pander or kiss ass when it comes to these things, which I have heard in other gaming podcasts.
Every Final Fantasy is perfect.
Caleb and Joe have good chemistry. Their discussions are animated and entertaining. They are never boring. Listening to them reminds me of hanging out with my friends and playing games back in high school. They curse, they rant, they call each other names and give glowing reviews about the stuff that works. I have listened to the entire backlog of episodes and now have to wait a week to get my fix, but it's worth it.
God damn it.
Real guys, real gamers, a real good podcast. P.S. I'm on team this show. I love you both, even if I do want to smack you upside the head on occasion. You feel like old friends, and I hope you go on casting for years to come. We will. At least for this show.
Thank you very much, Felicia.
Now, my favorite review of the week. This is a 3-star review from Ace Ascent.
Oh, 3 stars. I wonder
it's titled Joe Likes Anime Titty.
Oh.
Pass it on. Hashtag Team Twice.
Pass this on. Go fuck yourself. I'm out.
Oh, wow, yeah. Joe's done. Joe just took off. Well, shit. I guess I'm going to have to talk to Caleb Craig and get him to jump in on the show. Maybe next week. Shit. Well, guys, we're going to be doing Final Fantasy XI's little add-on scenarios, and we hope to see you guys again next week. Until then, enjoy the grind. Without Joe, of course. Because, come on.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show is produced by Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGolier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out on Twitch. We'll see you later.